this act was done in 1984, that becomes a big hindrance that the retailers cannot directly buy even today directly from the farmers, except in a few states. So what is the result? The result is you have too many intermediaries. You have to go and buy at the mandis. And if you go to the mandi in any of these, in Hyderabad, there are a couple of mandis. You go there, I mean, it's a good site how transactions take place there, and so on. So this is about food supply chain. Well, you can see the fertilizer supply chain here. The reason I'm showing this is it combines the big factories to final delivery of the fertilizer happens through bullock cart. So the transshipment and the whole of fertilizer subsidies, all these issues come into, and here from the warehouse to everything to used in train and so on. Let me take you what is called a service chain. I mean, just to give you an idea of what a supply chain is. What is a postal supply chain? Can anybody now tell me what is a postal supply chain? Now, what does post office does? I mean, you drop a letter in the box, right? And it is delivered to your house, right? So what happens in the between? Sorry? Somebody collects it from this one, and then where is it sorted? Post office. And then it goes to some other post office. And then there it is sorted again. Then there it goes as a desorting happens. Right? So basically what happens here is you have collection, outward sorting, transport, inward sorting, and delivery. Right? I mean, this is a very simple supply chain that happens in this. And some of this sorting happens in trains, right? Some of the trains have postal compartments. During transit it happens, and so on. So basically, or it can be this transport happens through regular RTC buses, regional transport buses, and so on. And there could be special transports that happen. Now, can you see what is that at the other end? That is an automated sorting machine. Now, whatever you described here is an Indian experience of postal sorting, right? Manual, some letters are lost, some letters are thrown on the road. You can, in Gachibowli, if you go to the post office, you can find some of the letters on the road. But you heard of FedEx? Yes. What FedEx does is, you know, it has 2 or 3 sorting centers, and originally Memphis is the original place where it has the sorting place. It has an automated sorting, this one, based on the postal code. It will sort it out, and basically, you know, and put it into bags, and the trucks take them away, and so on. So there is an automation that is possible here, but you have to have some kind of a discipline to put the code, the postal code. That's where I think if you are posting any letter to any other place, the postal code becomes very important, because that's the one that is scanned based on which the sorting is done. And sometimes they give you a barcode which actually represents the postal code, so that automated scanning can be done. That's what it does here. And thus it basically scans each letter automatically. I mean, it does so millions an hour, and it sorts it out and so on. The joke says that if you are in the 9th floor in New York building, and if a neighbor posts you a letter, it goes all the way to Memphis and comes back to you. I mean, that's the kind of thing that happens, and they find it very convenient. So I'm just trying to tell you to see the effect of automation in all this. How simple it is to think of innovate things like something in a postal supply chain. Now, why am I talking of the postal supply chain in a rural class? Anybody can guess? Why postal supply chain in a rural setting?
It has the deepest route, deepest region in the India, and it can deliver so many things. A single.
How many post offices in India? 6 lakhs in the villages. There are 6 lakh villages, but 1,66,000 post offices. Out of which, how many in rural areas? 1,30,000. So, what does the post office do? Post offices do other than postal delivery? What else it does?
Use the money orders.
Yes, it also acts as a bank, right? It's also a bank. So you have a bank and you have a delivery channel. So can you put them together? What does a bank do in a supply chain? In a supply chain, supposing I am buying something, I am a supplier and you are a manufacturer. In the supply chain, when I supply something to you, then you have to pay me back. Otherwise, or you have to basically give me a bank guarantee. Otherwise, I will not give you the money, right? Now here is the post office, where you can use it for rural retailing. Supposing there is a retailer somewhere in the rural areas, right? Now this retailer is a small fellow. And how does he get his items? I mean, the toothpaste, personal hygiene items, or whatever, the shampoos to anything. How does the rural retail shop get it? It has to get from the town nearby, from the distribution centers. Now, currently the distribution center, either the retail fellow goes to the town and buys it and brings it, or the distribution center has to send it. This one. So it's basically very unorganized. It's not like, you make a phone call, it is delivered. So post office can act as an intermediary between the retailer and distributor because it is a bank. So retailer can have an account in the post office. And against this account, the post office guarantees money to the distributor, right? So the distributor can pack it and put it on RSB or a RTC bus and deliver it to the post office. Post office is also a delivery channel, right? You have an RTC bus from every state headquarters to every village, right? Just imagine the state you are from, and from the state capital or the big city near your village, how much time will it take for the state transport bus to go? 12 hours? 18 hours? Maximum 24 hours, right? But then you ask your retail fellow how much time it takes for him to get from his distribution center to him. At least 15 days. Here is the anomaly here. You can reach from your state headquarters or the state capital to your village between 12 to 18 hours, but your goods cannot. That's because the mindset is the goods have to go by trucks. So they wait till the truck is full and then they sell it. So it takes 15 days or 20 days or something like that. And all these transport fellows. But if you put on the RTC bus, then it can come. So basically post office, since they are present in 1,33 villages in India, and they are also banks, they are also delivery channels, there is a lot that can be used from post office. And post office actually does a lot of business in Tirupur. Tirupur is a village near Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu. It has a textile cluster. And also somewhere here, I think, what they do is they basically act as a delivery channel from small industrial clusters to the big post people. Well, what happens if it is an auto supply chain? That's what happens. You have suppliers for all parts, makes engines, makes gears, makes doors, makes seats, makes belts, and so on. And they're all given what is called a production schedule. In other words, the manufacturer tells, look, on Monday morning, 9 o'clock, I must have these particular parts at my factory floor. And there is a production schedule for the manufacturer who basically does this. He assembles so many cars, and one car or two cars a minute comes out of the factory floor. And they go to the dealers to the customers, and so on. So here is something, there is what is called demand estimation. In other words, how many cars are being sold and so on, how many cars are coming for repair, what is the kind of cars that people are preferring, and so on. So all these there are super techniques that are used to estimate the demand and try to produce what is required by the people. This is true for shirts, for pants, for saris, whatever, in advanced settings. And also, if there is some kind of a service that is needed, car service and so on, spare parts and all that kind of thing happens. Now, I'm showing you this picture just to compare this with the agriculture supply chain. Now here you are producing to demand, and everything goes by at clock speed. Everybody is synchronized. In other words, the suppliers produce something, and that goes to the manufacturers, and there is no inventory, just-in-time, lean manufacturing. You have all Six Sigma supply chains. All these things are watchwords in the industry. In other words, Six Sigma means the defects are 1 in a million. 1 in a million defects. Now, does this happen, or can this happen in the agriculture supply chain? Now, in India, the following are the facts. How many of, you drink this orange juice that these fellows sell, right? The packages. How much is the one package? I don't know, 1 liter or half liter, 80 rupees? 80 rupees, right? Why should it cost so much? Do you take the potato chips packet? 30 rupees, 40 rupees, right? The small packets. Why should it cost so much? If you are making potato chips at home, buy the potatoes, you know how to do it. It comes you at 5 rupees maybe, and you pay 25 rupees. Why? Actually, it should be cheaper, right? It should be cheaper than doing at home, because you are producing large scale, and at home you use all these oils, right? Which oil, you are health conscious and all that, and there they use all kinds of junk oil. But still it is costlier. Why? Huh? Packaging? Transport? Advertisement? Value addition in what? Margins. Margins? Yeah. You forgot to mention one thing. What about sales tax? You pay 12% tax on all processed food items. Why should you pay tax on food? That's because the government thinks it's all elitist item, right? If you drink Coca-Cola, you pay 35 rupees, 40 rupees, you're a great. you are a high wage earner in this country. And if you drink orange juice, from that it is mostly sugar syrup. That's more expensive than you buy oranges and make juice at home, right? It's more expensive than that. But what is the dichotomy? I mean, basically, it is considered an elitist item. And that's where the government is getting away by paying this, adding this 12% tax. The other thing is the packaging. Now, why is packaging expensive? Packaging is expensive because the packaging material is imported. And they pay tax on that. So 20% of your potato chips is packaging. And 12% is tax. And the 18% is the margins. So basically, you have 50% of that is, it does not know a value add here. I don't know what value add. It is junk food, right? Potato chips are considered to be junk food. So there is no value add in terms of that. So the issue is that if you compare this with the agriculture supply chain or the food supply chain, you know, what was happening is, are you producing to scale? Are you producing to make things cheap? Are you producing to demand this one? Orange juice. Let me ask you a question. Supposing I produce orange juice at 5 rupees. At 5 rupees a small bottle. What is my market size?
Double the size of Pepsi and Coke put together.
Huh?
Double the size of Pepsi and Coke put together.
I know, but what is it? 5 rupees, not Pepsi and Coke is very expensive. You know, roadside tea stall, you pay coffee, so many people go there, right? I mean, whether you're a laborer or you're this one, you go there and pay 5 rupees and then take tea or coffee or something. Same situation, same roadside tea shop, he sells for 5 rupees orange juice packet. I add all kinds of nutrients there, no value add in terms of health and all that.
If it is expensive, they feel that it is a good quality.
It's 5 rupees, man.
No, I want to tell that there will not be demand for the 5 rupees packet.
Why should not be the demand?
Because people think that if it is expensive, it is a good quality.
I see. Supposing I say it is good quality and I make advertisements and so on. Now my point is this, what is the demand like? How many packets can I sell? Supposing I advertise and people want to buy it and so on. How many packets can I sell for orange juice? If one person drinks every day, right? Orange juice can be taken by children, right? By adults, by old people, all ages. So you have 1.2 billion people, right? 1.2 billion people who drink coffee, tea, instead of coffee and tea, if they skip one coffee and then take orange juice, and you look at the disease burden you are reducing because you are adding nutrients. And the second thing is, what is the market? 1 billion per day, all right, 1 billion per week. That's the kind of market that you have. So, I mean, who is using this kind of market? Now, the oranges that you produce, all the citrus fruits that you have produced in this country, they cannot be made use for making pulp. You cannot make pulp out of them. So the orange pulp comes from Australia or New Zealand, and that's why it costs you some 80 rupees or something. So this is where I think the whole agriculture mindset has to change. Now the current agriculture scenario is for freshly cooked food, right? I mean, everybody likes freshly food, but there is a value add in some of the food processing. This one that, like orange juice, right? And similarly, several other items. And second thing, what about the energy cost if you cook at home? there is a statistics which I'll say, there are 3 deaths of children per 1,000 in Andhra Pradesh from carbon monoxide poisoning almost every year. Because they are the huts with no windows, you cook in those huts, and there are kids in there, and they inhale this carbon monoxide, and because of that poisoning they die. And is it economical to have a food court and people go there and eat the processed or cooked food, and then if it is served right, remove politicians in between? Or is it good to cook at every house? Why should you cook at every house, everything? If Singapore is an example, I don't know how many of you have visited example. In Singapore, there are housing complexes. For every housing complex, there are 2 or 3 food courts. Every household, rich or poor, they go and eat in that food court. And the neatest part of a Chinese house is the kitchen, because the lady never cooks. They always go and eat in the fresh. And all my friends who are professors in the National University of Singapore, they used to tell me, all of them, they go in the evening, 7:30, go and eat and come back with the kids. And then they like it. It is hygienic, and it's like home cooked food, and so on. So why can't you have that kind of models here? So there are several innovations that can come in, which you can learn from this one, rather than trying to, you have another seed. The agriculture preoccupation of agriculture scientists is to have another seed to get more produce, more this one, and so on. So pre-harvest is the occupation of the agriculture scientist. Post-harvest is neglected. There are post-harvest losses. That is 30% of the foodstuffs in India are wasted away. That's because of post-harvest. And then, post-harvest research, nothing is done. And this example shows you there is lot of research done by the component manufacturers, by the OEMs, by the distributors, and all the MBAs who get their degrees. They are managing this kind of global supply chains. Now, do you have research on food processing? You should tell me. Do you do research on food products? Orange juice, biryani, something. Is there any research center which does this? Research laboratories? CFTRI. That's a shame. CFTRI, and there is another one, DFTRI. Yeah, but okay, CFTRI in Mysore, that's fine, but this is a country of 1.2 billion people, and how many have with varieties of tastes and cultures. And I mentioned at that time in Singapore, and recently I was in Singapore last month, and I found in a hotel a big conference happening on the same topic. Then I stopped by and asked them, and they said this has become a big thing, and that is 1/5 of world's population are right. Now the Muslims are dominated in the Middle East, in Indonesia, and Malaysia, and so on, and India, this part of the region. Now they are very particular about, very strict about the halal food. Now, halal certified food, if it is manufactured and sold, you have, because particularly Middle East, they don't have any agriculture there. It's all deserts. So there is an export possibility. Is India using this? So we don't know how to certify